Hey, everybody. Welcome to week number 2 and 3 of textiles. So, you made it through the first week. You completed your orientation module, and we are diving in to the material. Okay, so the next 2 weeks we are just going to be laying the foundation to talk about fibers, yarns, ultimately textiles that we'll be using for your garments going forward. Right, we will be talking about textiles mostly in the terms of apparel, although they will have do have some home goods upholstery applications, and depending on the fiber, I may touch on a little bit more non-apparel applications, but we will be talking about textiles for the purpose of this class for the creation of garments and for textiles usages. Okay, so this week it's the next 2 weeks. We're actually laying the groundwork, so we're going to be talking about the textile industry as a whole, and we'll look at some of the careers. So we'll look at textile designer. We'll look at printing and dyeing. We will look, actually, that's a little bit going forward. We'll talk about knitting and weaving as well. But first, I want to make sure that you have what you need. And the reason why, in part, that we're doing this module for 2 weeks is I'm giving you a little bit of time to get your textbook for the class. I pride myself in the FASHM program that we have a low cost textbook model. So for most of our classes, you don't have to buy a book. For this one, you do. And the books that you use for this class actually are a resource that will be using throughout the rest of your fashion career. So it's really important that I'm giving you a little bit of time, but by week 4 you will need them. So 2 things you need for the class. You need Fabrics for Fashion, the complete guide. You need the second edition. I am going to say you need the second edition because how I assign the reading and the quizzes are out of the second edition. There's the first edition of the book, but they did change. They added a chapter, and they changed about what they talked about in the introductory chapter. So if I tell you got to read 30-something pages, it's not a wall of words, and my light is making it hard for you to. There we go. See what the pages look like, but you see it's the material in bite-sized chunks, a lot of images, and then these blue call-out boxes, which are things that are a little bit more specific that they want you to understand. So in this one of the call-out boxes is about upcycling. One is about specifically about corduroy, because of what they're talking about in this chapter. They're talking about weaving. So you need this book. This is where the bulk of your assigned reading will come out of. However, there's another book that we'll be using for class as well, and this is called Fabric for Fashion, the swatch book. I have a bunch of stuff in the book too, so let me take this off the front. If you were face to face, you were looking at some of this other stuff. But you need this book as well. You need the swatch book. It's a great resource and you do need the second edition. Here's why you need the second edition of this book as well, because the second edition has this little. The second edition, actually, this is the second revised second edition. You need has 142 fabrics and yarns. So this is great because this one has a sample of some yarns as well. Generally, when you see swatch hits, you only see swatches of fabric, but this also takes it down to the yarn level. So there's a wool donegal and a felted wool and some silk and cashmere, linen, bamboo, which actually the cashmere is nice because we don't have a cashmere sample in the book. And then when you go deeper into the book, there are a whole host of samples of different fabrics. Let me see what this is. This is the wool page. So there's some wool suiting, some worsted, a basket, weave, a melton. So there's a bunch of samples, and you will be using these samples to complete activities in this class, and also when you get to the end of the class. Your final project, you will be using pulling samples out of this book. So the book does have some reading as well, some overviews when we get to specific fibers. This is when we get to synthetic and regenerated cellulose, so rayon, when we get to that at the end. But there are, lost a sample because I pull them out all the time. There's samples on every page, and you will be pulling the samples out. Generally, they do stick back in. It's just that I pull mine out a lot, so I need to put some double-sided tape to get that on there. Okay, so these are the 2 books that you need. Please make sure you get them. You will need them when we get to technically when we get to week 5. We have an assignment using the swatch book in week 5, but if you have for week 4, you'll be better off. Okay, and then for this week, we're going to talk about textile industry and careers. We'll talk a little bit about the different types of fibers and explain how the fiber affects performance. Your discussion board will have it has a related discussion based on to fiber choice and performance. We'll get a little bit of properties and characteristics. There's a fiber properties chart that is in the module. You will need that to complete your discussion board. And we will be referring to that fiber properties chart throughout the entire semester. So with every fiber that we talk about, every fiber and fabric we talk about, we'll be referring to that fiber properties kit. There's a whole bunch of terminology in this module. So there's a bunch of definitions that you need to know. So they are things that you can look through. You can search through in the lecture. Also, I mean, if you have the book, you can get it there. And then a lot of it's on the fiber properties chart. And then a little bit about sources of natural fibers and a little bit of the differences between natural and manufactured fibers. So there's a lot that's happening in this 2 weeks. This is, like I said, the foundation of what we'll be doing for the rest of the semester. So what you learn this semester, we will be applying those to every fiber when we finally get to the fibers in a few weeks. Okay, it's the natural fibers in a few weeks. All right, I'm glad you're here. Welcome to week 2 and 3. So this week, this module you have open for a couple weeks, but please, I cannot encourage you enough to go order your textbook if you haven't. If you are having a challenge getting the book, there is a copy of both books. So there's a copy of both books on the Chino campus library. So they do have copies of the books that you can check out, and you have to use it on campus, but you can check it out for a few hours to get your assignments done. Okay, if you have any questions or challenges getting the book, just drop me an inbox just so I know, and I can maybe help direct you to some resources. Okay, all right, see you on the other side.